Hey, it's your boy E Hood. I want to speak with you about a letter, and it is the Willie Lynch letter. This letter is really going to open your eyes about some things. First of all, Willie Lynch was a white slave owner, and he had a plantation over in the West Indies. And he presented a letter to all the white slave owners back in 1710. And he presented a letter that is, it is, if I can disrespectfully say, masterful. It is masterful. And I am going to connect this letter with today. Let me start the Willie Lynch letter. Gentlemen, I greet you here on the bank of the James River in the year of our Lord 1712. This is the year that he wrote the letter, 1712. I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I am here to help you solve some of your problems with slaves. Your invitation reached me on my modest plantation in the West Indies, where I have experimented with some of the newest and still the oldest methods for control of slaves. Ancient Rome would envy us if my program is implemented. He's saying that the way that the Romans had slaves, the Egyptians had slaves back in the Bible days, they would envy his idea that he has. His method, they would envy it. That's some tough talk. As our boat sails south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish, that's deep, I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. While Rome used cords of wood as crosses for standing human bodies along its old highways in great numbers, you are here using the tree and the rope on occasion. Rome used to use crosses and bodies and hang them outside of the city because they couldn't be in the city overnight, or they considered the city to be defiled. So they had crosses all down the highway, with bodies to instill fear of anybody who would come into their city and defile their laws. I caught a whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple of miles back. You are not only losing valuable stock by hangings, you are having uprisings. Slaves are running away. Your crops are sometimes left the field too long for maximum profit. He's saying that the crops have been in the field too long to where they are rotten, so they can't get their maximum financial profit from it because of the way that they're doing the slaves. You suffer occasional fires. Your animals are killed. Gentlemen, you know what your problems are. I do not need to elaborate. I am not here to enumerate your problems. I am here to introduce you to a method of solving them. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. We're there now. My method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. See, he didn't even make it difficult. He didn't make it something that you had to really think hard on or none of that. He just used some simple methods. Now watch these methods. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves, and I take these differences and make them bigger. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes. That's deep. Now he talking about the distrust. He's talking about fear towards the slave masters, the white people. Distrust among each other, and envy for control purposes. So you envy the life that the whites live, and you would love to be like that. These methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, and it will work throughout the South. Take this simple little list of differences and think about them. On top of my list is age. The second is color or shade. There is intelligence, size, sex, size of plantations, status on plantation, attitude of owners, whether the slaves live in the valley, on a hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair or coarse hair, or is tall or short. Now that you have a list of differences, now these are all the characteristics that he's going to use on the blacks. Now that you have a list of differences, I shall give you an outline of action. But before that, I shall assure you that distrust, Jesus, this is powerful. Distrust is stronger than adulation, respect, or admiration. Adulation means excessive devotion. And he's saying that distrust is stronger than any of that. Distrust. The black slave, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. You know, over in Genesis, you know, God said that seed produces after his own kind. This man has implemented something that has a reproductive system that is going on for a long time. Check this out. Don't forget, you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male, and the young black male against the old black male. We have that today to where you know the young black guys will take no advice from the older black guys. They don't have any respect for them. None. It's the same thing today. You must use the dark-skinned slave versus the light-skinned slaves, and the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slaves. You know, they used to have the light-skinned blacks thinking that they are better than the dark-skinned blacks, and the light-skinned blacks were the ones where you would call sort of the Uncle Toms, you know, the ones who really had the quote-unquote what they thought was favor with the whites. And they were really govern the dark-skinned blacks. And we have that today to where you have the light-skinned blacks thinking that they are more up in status than the dark-skinned blacks, you know, and as a result, all it does is that it brings division. You must use the female versus the male. That is prevalent. And the male versus the female. Now that is prevalent. That core there, that is a powerful core. He said you must use the female against the male. And this is why there's always tension and division with the female and the male. They can't come to no conclusion over hardly anything. Anything. Because he understands unity. Willie Lynch understood unity, and he understood that the way to get them is to divide and conquer. He understood that. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks. Watch this here. But it is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. He's saying that you must discipline your white people to never trust them black folks. Never trust them. But you must make it to where they will always trust and depend on us. You know, we can go to work a whole week or 2 weeks, whatever you get paid, and never doubt for a second that check would be in your hand or in your account. Never doubt it. Never doubt it. You can have a white man come to your house with a business deal, and he will present a business deal to you, and more than likely you'll go for it. Black man will come to your house with the same business deal, and you automatically think he on some shady business, and he present the same thing. End up the white man will be the one that cross you and double cross you. The black man will be on the up and up, but the mind transfer, the bait and hook switch. Let me go here. They must love, respect, and trust only us. This is so prevalent today to where we blacks want so bad to be loved and accepted by people who don't even want to be bothered with you, by people who don't want to do anything but use you. Now, I'm not speaking racism as far as being angry at white folks. I'm not speaking none of that. I'm speaking about the mindset that's been indoctrinated in the black culture hundreds of years ago, and that is still prevalent today. And I know this is kind of tough, but if we are going to come to any resolve, we must come to some understanding of how did we get to where we are. I'll be bringing a part 2 to you on this here about the Willie Lynch letter. We must come to some understanding of what happened before we can get some ideas on how to fix this. I'm not doing this because of any racist motives. No, I am doing this here because our black culture needs to come into knowledge so that we can grow as a people. I'll be back with part 2. It's your boy, E. Hood, the Willie Lynch letter, part 2. Peace.